Now you have Deontay Wilder and his team open to fight Jake Paul. And let me counterpunch. I think this is either a cash in or a cash out. You know, simple. It's either, hey, okay, you know, I'm going to knock this guy out, get an easy paycheck, you know, for a lot of quid. Or if I lose, I get money, you know. It just shows you, though, how people are so willing to welcome that idea. You know, I mean, Floyd started it, Tyson Fury continued it, and then AJ. Why not Wilder? You know, I'm not downing him, dissing him, or anything like that, but I think, you know, if Shelly Finkel is saying, yeah, well, it's a big money fight, you know, that's pretty much what you're going to expect, you know. So the funny thing is, what, about 3 years ago, that would be laughable. You know, Jake Paul fighting at heavyweight. What are you, stupid? What are you, high? You know, it's one of those things like that. You know, I think, you know, it's funny how things changes, and and I think the more those fights like that take place, I think the more people are going to open up to them. You know, I remember once upon a time, was it last year, early last year, Turkey Al-Sheikh was like, no YouTube fights. Well, looks like now the YouTube fighters like Jake Paul, KSI, and guys like that are going to have a better chance. Why? Because Turkey Al-Sheikh won't be giving us all those big fights like that anymore. Because if he signs and he comes on to the boxing league trying to initiate people over there, you know, people then will be more open to the big fights with Jake Paul, you know, especially these fighters. You know, you pretty much know that this was going to come to an end. But that's a whole nother issue. How it pertains to this, though, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and many, many other fighters had an option or had a great opportunity to make a lot of money, which they did. But now they know if that dries up, then they would have to go elsewhere. What's elsewhere? Jake Paul. Jake Paul is elsewhere. That's where else you go to get that type of dough. Bars. Right? So I think that's what it's about, you know. Money talks and you know, and bullshit runs a marathon. And it's running, because if Shelly Finkel is open to it, it just shows you how desperate, you know, they are for money or for big fights. Because, you know, the last time Wilder fought was in June. You know, now it's April. Okay, that's been a long time. So he took a while off, you know, and he has a fight coming with Herndon, you know. So, you know, he's supposed to be talking about Francis, right? So then, you know, open to a fight with Jake Paul. Yeah, these are all money-grabbing fights. You know, with a 39-year-old Deontay Wilder, they already know, look, we don't have time to mess around, because Wilder's not getting any younger. But I'll say this about the fight at hand, if it actually happens. Jake Paul, if this would probably be the best time he has, maybe, to beat Deontay Wilder. Because if Deontay Wilder doesn't have the power, you know, like he used to, and Jake Paul can handle a shot that used to be the shot, but it's not the shot no more, the right hand, you know, he may have a pretty good chance of, you know, of doing something impactful to Wilder. Will I say he beats him? I don't think so, because I think Wilder knocks him out, because I think the way Jake Paul fights, he's going to want to mix it up, and Wilder's just going to go for the straight right, you know, and clip him. I mean, it's you know, it was a shorter fighter, like Spilka's height. You know what he did to Spilka? You know, they had to carry that man out on a gurney, like literally. But, you know, so Jake better hope that power is gone, because if not, you know, he'll get knocked out. Or here's another scenario. What if Jake Paul can do something to one of the three kings? He said he'll knock out Joshua. You know, what about Wilder? Wilder appears to be the weakest link at this point, but that could have been anybody based on the amount of times he's got beat. You know, we don't know if he still has a chin. We don't know if Jake Paul can handle a punch from a real heavyweight. We don't know any of this. So it's all speculated, isn't it? But you guys tell me what you think of Deontay Wilder and his team open to a Jake Paul fight in the future. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunching.
To this day.
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 To this